Hello and welcome back to your favorite podcast. I am your host, Noa McCabe. This is Becoming Relentless, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host,
Danielle Kusenberger.
Woo! Today, we are going to talk to y'all about advice or things that we wish we would have known as a first-time competitor.
And a new competitor. Well, I guess
as a new competitor.
It's the same word. What am I saying?
New, first time, maybe you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for this is I had a couple DMs of ladies who said that they have been listening to our podcast. They find it very helpful, but they have never done a show themselves. Maybe they're prepping for one or they're thinking about prepping for one and they just have no idea what to expect. So I thought it would be helpful to talk about what you can expect, what we wish we would have known, like going into our first competition.
Mm-hmm. And even the thought, if you're not, like, just like she said, the thought of maybe I want to compete. I don't know. You don't have to really know. You can just snaggle with it.
Yeah. If there's a thought, if there's an interest, then this might be able to help you discern if you truly do want to compete.
Discern. That was a good word.
Thank you.
That was a really good word. So I learned a little bit off topic, but I like to give y'all something. I learned a new word this week.
What was it?
Zaddy.
Wait, I saw that on Eric's story.
Because it's because we were together and Sheila, our friend, introduced this word named zaddy. And zaddy apparently is a man that's older, that's attractive. And we were like, what is a zaddy? But I thought that was super funny.
That is hilarious. I don't think I've heard of that.
But I like the word. I like anything that starts with the Z.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
It catches your attention.
All right, diving in.
New word of the day. Maybe that should be a segment that we do every podcast.
Hashtag
new words.
Zaddy.
New words that we've learned.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let's do this. All right. New competitor in the off season. Well, how we coach athletes, everyone starts in the off season. A lot of new athletes think they start in a prep. Yeah. Like that's their day one. Honey, your day one was a year ago when you thought about it. Your day one is right now since you're listening to this.
Yes. If the thought's in your mind, then let's just run with it. Assume that it's your day one. But if you come to us, we're not going to put you into a contest prep right away because we don't know you. We don't know your body. We don't know your mindset, your habits, how you operate as an athlete. And because everyone is so different, we are not going to make assumptions about anything. So we have an intake form. We gather some information, but truly we learn about you through the check-in process, through your training videos, through the way that you communicate with us for the first honestly, like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just establishing that coach-athlete relationship. And contest preps are generally going to be at least 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come to us expecting a contest prep, it's just not realistic. It's not going to happen.
I do want to know, like most coaches and ourselves, we do offer a 1 month option. And usually that's because there's actually the only reason why we offer that is because we know there's people out there that are like, I just want to test it out 4 weeks, see if we're a good fit. And as much as we agree you need to see if you're a good fit, I do believe you should see if you're a good fit with the coach before signing on. And then you should sign on for a longer term because to make the most progress, to learn the most, to get the most out of the process with the coach, but also for the coach to learn your body. I think 3 months is the sweet mark of like, yeah, we got this. I know your physique. I know what your body likes. And then you as athlete understanding what the coach wants from you as well. 4 weeks is just a sprinkle in of honestly.
It's like the trial period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I do think if you're going to apply with the coach seriously, a longer term would be better. Of course, the 4 weeks are just, like she said, trial terms or trial runs.
Mm-hmm. So previously, I used to offer like even shorter terms than that, like 2 weeks.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy
but
crap.
You can sign up for me monthly, but I actually don't do just monthly anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So if you sign on to work with me, in the contract that you sign, you are locked in for the first 3 months. You cannot cancel. until after that 3 months. Because, like we're saying, if you are testing out coaching, one, if you're signing on with me, I guarantee you're going to love my coaching.
Mhm.
I haven't had anyone sign on for just a month and then leave. Like literally nobody.
That's why
So
we only offer that for peace of mind of the applicant. But we
yeah.
know for a fact you don't need it because you're going to just sign on for longer.
I've had people who, like, within the first week feel and see so much progress, so much difference that then they're like, okay, I want to be with you for a year. So I don't mind doing the month. But yeah, I would say if you are interested in competing, if you are thinking about competing, it's a long-term thing. It's not going to be, don't sign on with a coach expecting to straight go into contest prep. If your coach does that and you're new, you're a first-time competitor, you've never competed before, you sign on with someone and they put you in a prep immediately, personally, I believe that's a red flag.
I was just going to say red flag, bro. Red flag. That is a red flag. I don't care if I don't care if your physique is at the point of, like you can do damage on stage. You still don't know the principles of consistency within bodybuilding, within your mental health, within hitting protocols, within food. And a lot of y'all might be listening and think, well, I've been training for 2 years now and have been 100%. And I've been hitting my food like 100% except for holidays, which is totally okay, by the way. It's very different once you enter a bodybuilding mindset of like a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
The competitor mindset and pressure is vastly different than just hitting things on your own time because that's just what you do kind of thing in your schedule or routine.
Yeah.
The goal's more serious. The goal is a timeline. And even though the timeline isn't for another year, there's still a timeline. So you can't have more days out of the week where just showing up and checking the boxes. You have to show up and push harder than checking the boxes every single week.
Yeah. And so with that being said, like there is the timeline to consider. There's also things like finances. To be a competitor, you have to have stable finances. So if you're thinking about competing, you want to get into competing, you know you want to compete, you've never done it before, I highly recommend that you set out a budget for yourself, or you at least structure out, like Dee was referencing the timeline, structure that out with your finances as well, because show day, $2,000, like at least. And that is show fees, your NPC card, your tan, your makeup, your hair, registering for all the classes. So as a new competitor, you have the chance to do True Novice, Novice, Open, and you're going to want to do all three so that you get more stage time. All of that, plus travel, hotel, like Ubers, unforeseen costs and things, it's going to be about $2,000 for your show day. So that's just show day. Leading up to that, like the timeline that Dee was just referencing, there's coaching costs, which you can mitigate if you just commit to the 1 year, because then it's just a lump sum right there, or you can monthly finance that. There is food, there is your gym membership, your heels, your suit. I mean, clothing, people don't think about this, but when you're in prep or when you are even just a competitor in general and you have cardio and training, and maybe you work a 9 to 5, that's 3 different outfits throughout the day. And if you're constantly washing your clothes, they break down easier. So what I realized is when I started competing, my workout clothes, like every single year, they would wear out faster. Like I do not have the same shorts or socks or sports bras that I had way back when I started. They've all had to be replaced because you wear them so often. That's another cost that I don't think people always realize.
And obviously there's like ways to make that cheaper. But you know what I've realized? It's funny because we all have prep clothes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have the off season, we have the mid season, we have the prep.
Yep.
Every single prep sports bra doesn't fit because like you gain muscle every year.
You've grown.
So yeah. So my like my prep clothes are too small. And I think that's so funny. But it makes you feel good.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like you're outgrowing your clothes. And so that might happen with people too, is you either outgrow your clothes, or if you're starting like a little bit heavier and you get leaner and leaner every season that you do it, or even within this first season, maybe you lose like 20, 30 pounds, you're going to have clothes that you just are never going to fit again because they're too big. That's exciting.
I agree. I think it is also fun too with the clothes that I don't wear in this season. I still save them though, because I know eventually I might like the way they fit. But I don't put on clothes that are going to make me feel self-conscious. So I have some shorts that make my butt look good. I have some shorts that make my butt look horrible. And the shorts that make my butt look bad because I'm not thick as I was, or XYZ, or not as tiny as I was, I just don't wear them. I think it's important, this is a little off topic, but to note, as you're changing your physique, you should complement your physique with what you choose to wear on your body, because what you choose to wear on your body can impact your confidence. And when I'm going to the gym, I want to feel my best. So I'm going to put on clothes that make me feel my best and make me want to look at myself in the mirror. If there's an outfit that I know makes me feel like I look small, then I'm just not going to wear it. And so just assessing your confidence level with your outfits.
Yeah. I think that will definitely come with time too. Like if you're a newer competitor or you haven't really competed, I would actually say don't focus so much on the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think for us, we can separate our emotion and what we see reflected back in us. But what I've noticed with like newer competitors, newer athletes, they get very tied to chasing like a certain look, or it can be dangerous to like look so heavily into the mirror for that confidence. So I like what you're saying, wear clothes that make you feel confident, but don't necessarily get too tied to like trying to look a certain way in the mirror. Bodybuilding is really hard mentally, and it can exacerbate existing body image issues. So just being aware of that, like if you are a newer competitor and you have body image issues already, you're probably not ready to compete. You need to deal with those first, because a prep will make it worse. A growth season will make it worse. Like if you don't know what you look like and you can't accept yourself in the moment for what you look like, and then you go into bodybuilding, it makes it worse.
I agree with that 100%, especially because a lot of athletes, when they sign on with the goal to compete in the future, we either A, need to really push growth and you're going to feel uncomfortable with that, or B, you're overweight, so we need to cut, and then we need to push growth again in a different way because we're not trying to push body fat, we're trying to push muscle mass. And so a lot of it is cutting and increasing in a surplus and reversing before the actual prep happens.
Yep. So then as you're getting into that like first prep, what do you remember with your first prep as being any sort of like obstacle or challenge, or maybe something you weren't expecting?
My first prep, I went into it with an eating disorder. Highly don't recommend. I will say, you asked about it, so I was like, all right, let me be truthful. I was already deep in that eating disorder, bro. But I was on the end of, I understand what food does for me now. Still have it. I understand that sweet potato provides carbs and energy versus don't eat that kind of thing. And I say sweet potato because that was literally the first carb source that I started introducing into my diet. And now I don't even eat it.
Because rice digests better.
Yes.
That's
Hashtag yes. So number one, don't go into any sort of prep with an eating disorder, even if it's a bad relationship with food. It's not even an eating disorder. If it's just you view food as something emotional, you stress eat, you view carbs as something scary. No, I can't have a muffin because I don't want to gain fat. Any of those little mindset triggers need to be assessed and worked on before you go into a prep. For example, well, as a competitor, it's very, very likely you come out of your first prep with a mixed relationship with food. I would say 99% of the time. Not always does it last that long. Like you handle your mindset towards food post prep way better than I ever have, but I do blame that on having an eating disorder growing up. But at the end of the day, the knowledge behind knowing what food does for you is very important. So throughout an off season, spend time on that. My first prep was easy since I had that going on. What was hard about it was balancing this new weird, strange goal with friends that were in high school and partied. And so I think for a lot of new competitors, that's a big thing, is just understanding that their friends aren't going to really understand their goal. If I got to tell my younger self anything regarding that issue, I would just say you have to be able to be mature enough emotionally to compartmentalize your friend group with your goal and realize that either A, don't let them collide so there's not as many issues going on between the two of picking and choosing, or B, understand how much your goal means to you, and if it is going to serve you better by limiting your time or association with some friends, then limit that.
Yeah, I love that point so much. It's very difficult to find that balance. I think similarly with my first prep, I was in college and it was the same sort of thing. There were friends who got it, who understood, and there were friends who didn't get it. And they would continuously like poke and push and say like, oh, you can't even have an apple, or you can't even come out with us tonight. Mm-hmm.
I hated that. But isn't it healthy?
Right.
Yes, but I still cannot have it.
So like my first prep, it got to the point where I was having 12 almonds, right? And that was like in my meal plan. And my roommates would make fun of me for that. They'd be like, oh, 12, only 12. She can't have 13, just 12. 11, nope, 12. Like they would just poke. And at the time it didn't bother me. But I think that if I hadn't been in a good headspace, that would have really bothered me. And I think
it's just annoying.
It is. It's just, it's, why can't you support me? Like, why do you have to make fun of something that I'm trying to achieve? And I love those roommates to death. Like, they're amazing. They're so great. We're still friends. But my first prep was difficult because of that component. I had to choose, no, I'm not going to go out to the bars with you guys. I'm going to stay home and go to bed. Oh, but it's only 8 p.m. Well, I'm exhausted.
It's already 8 p.m. What do you mean?
Like, I have 2 hours of cardio tomorrow morning. I'm tired. And I think if you're newer to the sport or the lifestyle, and if your friends are not into that lifestyle or they've never seen competing, they don't quite get it, that, like you said, you really have to start picking and choosing your battles, because there would be times where I would stay up with them and I would watch a movie. Like, they would have movie night. All our friends would come over. We'd sit down. I'd fall asleep halfway through, but I was hanging out with them versus just isolating. So it was kind of finding that balance. Mm-hmm. But it's difficult because I think people don't want to say no. I still struggle with that, like the people pleasing and not wanting to let other people down. But something that you've taught me, especially this year, is it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to take that time and put up boundaries and say no. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you somebody who is so willing to go after their goal, like 100%.
It's also, life's way more enjoyable when you're selfish in that way. Even now, with little things, if someone asked me to coffee this morning, and as much as I wanted to give that person time and energy, I was like, would I be happier not doing this and just being with myself? If the answer is yes, then I'm unapologetically going to say, let's do it another day. And if you can remove your emotions from that and just like the decision making, if you can just understand, and it's so hard as a new competitor, but if the more emotionally intelligent you are, the easier a prep is. And what you'll find in bodybuilding is most people are not emotionally intelligent, and they do not become emotionally intelligent. I also want to note that most new competitors, 99% of the time, you will always have issues with your friend group. That is completely normal. So it's very hard to go through. Don't let it be to the point where you feel so sorry for yourself that it's dragging you down.
Mm-hmm.
Because every single person will go through that.
Yeah.
Just like every single person will experience some type of binge eating. Not every single person, I don't want to say that. A lot of people will experience some type of binge eating throughout a post-prep reverse phase, especially new to food. And the level of binge eating is vastly different. It could, like, everyone's binge eating level or overindulging is vastly different. But there's always going to be like these little issues that occur. That's why having a coach like someone like Noah or me or my someone on Team Haley who's knowledgeable and has been there and knows what to expect and doesn't ignore the fact that this is probably going to happen, so they can guide you and help you before the fact of knowing how to approach these situations, is very helpful.
Yes. I think that a lot of newer competitors don't expect post-show to be as hard as it is. And we can talk about it, but truly, you have to go through it. You have to make your way through it and experience it, and just think of every reverse as practice. It's okay not to be perfect. Some people are. I think some people can really nail it. Some people aren't, and that's okay. It's how you frame it in your mind and not let it get you so down.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to talk a little bit about show day in particular, because I know for me and a lot of like newer competitors, that's a very intimidating experience, especially if you don't know what to expect. So if you haven't already, you're interested in competing, go to a show and watch how the show is run. If you have any friends in the show, see if you can kind of like sneak a peek backstage, see what that's like. But if you just go to a show and attend, it'll give you a good idea of how the days run. It's very much like a hurry up and wait kind of situation. So as a competitor, you can expect like getting your tan on the night before. You're going to have to sleep in these like black sheets, not get the tan everywhere. You're going to have special clothing that's like loose and nothing to ruin the tan. But then you wake up, usually bikini girls, which we specifically coach a ton, and we are bikini. We usually wake up really early and get our makeup and hair done. Not always, but as amateurs, like the makeup artist will book y'all starting at like 4:30 in the morning. And you might not go on stage until like 2 p.m., depending on the show. So it's going to be a really long day. You can expect...
That's your longest day of the whole prep.
Mm-hmm. You're awake for like 14, 16 hours.
It's a fun day. You'll be up from like 3 a.m. to like 3 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that is so true. So if you're like nervous, you're just going to be up for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of like the actual show day, just pay close attention to the timing. I've had instances, like I'm not new, but when I won the overall in Texas 2 years ago, I almost missed my class. I was almost late because they said that bikini was going to start at 1. And I was like, oh, bikini's so big, I have time. So I was at my Airbnb at 1 and I got a call. Justin was like, hey, are you backstage? And I was like, no, I'm at the Airbnb. And he goes, bikini's on. I was like, oh. He's like, yeah, your class is coming up. And I'm like class F, so I'm later. They do classes A, B, C, D, E, F. So I thought I had time. I didn't have time. I got to the venue, didn't pump up, got like a little bit of glaze, and I literally just like went straight on stage.
That's what you don't want to do.
Don't do that. It was stressful. But because I was a little bit more experienced, I just kind of knew. Like I knew that day. I was like, I know I look good. So I wasn't worried about it. But if you are new and you don't know what to expect, that's probably the worst situation because your cortisol is going to spike. You're not going to feel like you looked your best.
You're jittery on stage.
Yeah, you'll shake. Your adrenaline will be going.
No matter what level you're at, you're going to have an insane, unreal amount of adrenaline on the side of the stage. And understand that's normal. Like your nerves are going to be there no matter what. It's very important to practice being on the side of the stage in terms of mentally. But no, you're going to have so much adrenaline.
How do you practice that?
Oh, when you're posing, honestly, throughout the day, anytime. Number one, when you're posing, though, pose as if you're on stage all the time. Literally pose as if there are judges and a crowd in front of you. Number two, pose in front of people like your coach or your friends or your parents or your boyfriend or girlfriend that make you nervous, that get you like, so don't mess up, you got to impress kind of feeling.
Mm.
That's number one. I would say too, if you don't have anyone like that at your gym, pose in front of everyone. Like if there's a mirror outside, when they have the dumbbells, and if you're like, well, I can't put my heels on out there, well, don't pose in your tennis shoes right there. So you get the sensation of people, their eyes are on me, and that will definitely help you calm down. And then you realize it doesn't matter, and it's just you in those 10 seconds on stage. And at the end of the day, exactly what I said, it's just you in those 10 seconds. So make it what you want to make it.
Yeah. I will say too, if you have a gym, what I used to do is practice my posing in the little studio room. So if there's like a spin bike room, there's usually mirrors. If there's like a studio room where people do like yoga or stretching, or they have group classes, but there's mirrors, go practice in there when there's people in there. Obviously not when there's a group class in there, but if there's people stretching or doing ab circuits in there, go in there and you can put your heels on because it's a studio with the floor, and like practice knowing that they're going to watch you. Because that's definitely something that I used to do that just got me so desensitized to anyone watching. Like I can pose in the middle of the grocery store now with like no hesitation. I don't, because that would be weird, but you should be able to.
And if you can't, just go pose in front of a grocery store.
Yeah.
And tag us.
Set your phone up on a tripod in the middle of Walmart.
Do it down the carb aisle so I can look at all the carbs. And just... You know what's funny?
Uh-huh.
So here's a new competitor thing versus me these days. Oh, I have so many. Actually, I'm going to give you like 3 tips on this. Number 1, I used to be so... This is normal, but I used to be so food focused in terms of it's Thanksgiving, which is about to come, and I'm going to be in this place too. All your family's eating apple pie, stuff in their face, except for you, which is totally okay. And then a lot of people go through preps and be so focused on what others are eating around them. And again, with the emotional tied to food, but also emotional and able to compartmentalize things. If you're going to be in a negative headspace, being around that stuff, just don't go. Just don't be there. And that's okay. Another thing I used to do is I would save in my Instagram or make a list on my phone of restaurants and food things I wanted to do. And if you have a healthy mindset, if you know that you can be able to focus on your goal while doing that and not feel any type of phase or anything like that, totally okay. If you can look at food and be like, dude, I don't care. I do want that post show. It doesn't affect how my mood is in this moment towards my goal, then do what you need to do. But if you realize like scrolling or saving or looking at food or like typing restaurants in your notes app of where you want to go after is making you more focused and excited for that than the actual show day, that's when you know you need to kind of cut that off. Because same with raves or any partying or any type of events like a vacation. I don't have anything planned, and last prep there was like some things that were planned post show of like a vacation or a rave, and I never did the prep, so the prep never fulfilled. But that September, so I was supposed to prep through October, and my show was going to be in October. In September there was a thing going on, and I hated the fact that I was also so excited for the September event because I didn't want to be. I wanted to be excited only for my show, and that kept me focused on my date of the show and not everything post show.
Yeah.
And it's not I'm going to rephrase that. You should not feel guilty for the fact that you're so excited for your vacation post show or this event or XYZ, because naturally as humans, we get excited for events like that. You are literally dragging yourself in the dirt at times for your show date. So at times, like, you're not excited to do cardio. Well, for vacation, you don't have to do cardio. So of course you're going to look forward to the vacation in that way. But the show date's going to require more out of you effort-wise and mentally to be really on and excited for that day.
Yeah. I think that as a newer competitor, I was so fixated on the show date that nothing else mattered. And I think that as you embrace this lifestyle, as you become a true competitor, you realize that that one date is not the end all be all. And what I've started doing is I have my target show dates, but then there's also life events around that date that I'm allowed to look forward to. And I think previously, like you're saying, I would have felt guilty because I would have been like, oh, I should be so locked in on this show date. But number one, that show is just one day. And yes, you're putting all this energy and effort and intention into making it to that one day. But what happens if you get sick and now you're behind in prep and you have to push your show date back? That one day that you were so emotionally tied to is now no longer. And so what that can cause a lot of anxiety, that can cause a lot of mental stress. And I just don't believe that it has to be that way. And I can see that difference in mindset with people who have never competed but want to, people who are working towards their first competition versus where I am now. I can see that stark difference in their mentality because, for example, as many of y'all know, like I'm not doing a show this year at all anymore. I have stopped my contest prep. And I think a newer competitor, if you had been on prep from November till now and then your coach told you no show, I think that would wreck a lot of newer competitors because you're so emotionally tied to the show date. But the truth is, when you get on stage, you should want it to be your absolute best. So when you're stepping on stage, you should be proud of the physique that you are putting on. You should be proud of the effort that you put into it. And there is no rush. Time isn't running out. Like there's no set in stone date that you have to compete by. If you prep and it turns out, hey, you're not going to be competitive, we need to push the show date back. That's okay. But I do think for a lot of newer competitors, that would be very jarring. And I encourage everyone to think about the mindset that you have around prep and going into a prep, because of course I understand the end goal of contest prep is to get on stage. And for most people, that is going to be within a time frame. And I think for amateurs and for people at the national level, it's a little bit different because if you're trying to get onto a national stage, there are only 6 or 7 national shows a year. Or if you live in a certain area of the country, there are only a couple local shows that are near you. Otherwise, you have to travel. So I get it. Sometimes the timeline might be set in stone, but that is even more reason for you to go all in and give your 100%. But keep in mind that that date might not be set in stone. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It definitely does. You don't prep for the show day, you prep for the physique.
And
I think that's an experience thing, though.
It is an experience
like
thing.
The new competitors, they just can't grasp it. I was going to say this thing that I'm about to say, and they're not going to be, you may not be able to grasp it because you're new, but as you compete long term, if that's your goal, you're going to realize what I'm about to say is true. I believe it's very important as a new competitor, and maybe this is just because if I'm going to speak to my past self, this is what I would agree that is important for her, to view her first prep or her first off-season AM prep as, put it on a pedestal, as in it has to be 100%. You can't have little bites of things throughout the prep. You can't skip cardio. You can't do this. You can't have free meal when you're not supposed to. So put it on a pedestal of whatever it requires you have to do. As for my first prep, the prep was everything. Everything around it didn't matter. It was like, this is my goal. This is this is everything. Now, bodybuilding is a part of my life. It is not my life. That transition of bodybuilding is my life to bodybuilding is a part of my life takes experience and time. But I do think the way to get to bodybuilding just be a part of your life while still hitting everything 100% is just experience and time.
I really love that point. It's very true. My first prep, same thing. I can say very confidently, first prep, 100%. I did not skip a session. I didn't eat anything that wasn't on my meal plan, practiced my posing diligently. Everything was 100%. Everything felt super urgent, like do or die.
Like it has to be done right now.
Yes.
Not an hour, right now, or the world's burning and you lost.
Yeah, exactly. That is how my first prep felt and how it went. But the result was what I wanted. I got on stage and I won. And that's, I think, what hooked me into it even further. Because what if I'd gotten on stage and I knew that I had lacked in some areas or I'd cheated on my diet and I won? I would have been reinforced. And then maybe the next prep, I would have been 80%. And then the next prep, I would have been 70%. Because I'm like, well, I was never 100% on my first prep. I still won. And so it's kind of like what I'm hearing is you have to put 100% effort in for your very first prep so that you can truly see how far you can go. Like really test yourself and immerse yourself in it and just see what happens. And then from there, like you're saying, I think it does take experience to learn to integrate it into your life and not just have it be your life.
And if you're someone who has competed for a long time and you don't know how to balance that, I think it's emotionally compartmentalizing. I think it's maturing, but it's not so much maturing just within the sport, it's maturing within your life in all these areas. I think we're so good at making it a part of our life and not our life because, for one, we've built ourselves in other areas that aren't bodybuilding, like our career, who we are as a person. Our worth isn't carried in the trophy or medal or the outcome, but we know we want to be proud of ourselves at the end of the day. So we don't do it to find our worth. We do it because we already know our worth. Yeah.
Mic drop.
I was like, shoot, did I really just get deep there?
That
was funny.
I love that though, because I hope that the people listening can understand where we're coming from as advanced competitors at this point and trying to take it back to when we were first competitors. Sometimes I do lose sight of that. Like, man, I really went like balls to the wall 100% my first prep. And my worth was very much tied into that. And now, I mean, I went all in for this prep. I thought I was pro debuting, but it wasn't my whole life. And that's so beautiful. And it wasn't my worth. And that's why I think this transition has been so smooth for me. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm not prepping anymore, but I'm still executing. I'm still living my life. And I have so many other things that I'm cultivating and working on and find fulfillment in, that it's not earth shattering that I'm no longer competing.
I think that's why people have such strong balances between competing as an Olympian for bikini mostly. Like Laura Lee, for example. I'm not going to speak on any bodybuilders. That's vastly different. It's vastly different than men. But for bodybuilders as in Laura Lee and Jennifer Dory, dude, Laura Lee eats, she's living her life. She does whatever she wants. And like, yeah, she's still on the Olympia stage, like killing her prep, like showing up 24/7 in the areas that she needs to. Jen Dory definitely makes bodybuilding a part of her life. Definitely does not, it's not her whole life. It's just part. That's why these girls are so successful and able to continue to prep and reach these goals while still finding passion through it. Because if you are bodybuilding is my life 24/7, you're going to burn out. There will be no passion. Your passion is going to be sucked into this thing that eventually you realize, what am I without it? And that's a sad place to be.
I agree. I think as a newer competitor, asking yourself why you want to compete, what is your intention, and why do you want to step on stage? Why do you want to go through this contest prep? Why does competing appeal to you? Keep digging and find those deeper reasons, because that is what is going to help carry you through the tough days. That is what's going to help keep the fire of your passion alive, is knowing truly why you're doing this. And any answer is okay. Any answer is valid. Whatever your reason is, that is completely acceptable, but hold on to that reason, because if you let that get lost, that is when you could experience burnout and you'll feel really lost. And competing is tough. It will 100% beat you up and kick you to the curb.
That's what winning does, though. That's how you know.
The pursuit of winning.
Balancing competing. As a new competitor, you don't really get to have that balance, in my opinion, because of the mindset change that your goal requires from you, in terms of even not as a competitor, but any big goal that's completely new. You've never ran a marathon. You've never done this thing as an athlete. You want to give it so much to show yourself what you can do. And that's what sets you up for success. So I do think as a first-time competitor, making sure that this first prep is everything will lead you into a better path.
Yes, I agree. Is there anything else that we want to let the listeners know, the viewers know about being a first-time competitor?
Start posing now. Don't wait to pose.
Yeah.
Start posing immediately, right now. It's important to start posing. If you don't have money or income to pay for a posing coach, hit us up with your free posing videos and we'll assess you for free.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah.
I think you're the same way. If you DM me a posing video, I'm happy to break it down. Or I'll send you a video back of how to get into a front and back pose. That's super quick, super easy. I don't mind.
Yes. I do think it's very beneficial to stock posing coaches as well, because these platforms constantly share knowledge. So study them, like have fun stalking these platforms. Yeah.
There's so many resources now. And that's the same with like a competition prep. Like there's so many resources, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And of course, when you're viewing these things, I would say view it with a lens of like, take it with a grain of salt, because just because somebody says that they're an expert in something doesn't always mean that they are. Look at their results, look at how their clients do, their athletes, stock the posing. If you like the style of posing that the coach seems to provide, then that's a good sign. But if you're watching their posing athletes and you don't like it, then you don't have to do any of it. Yeah, exactly. There's so many different free resources out there. Also, we're putting on, if you are in Texas, in Austin, right? We're putting on like a free posing seminar. So
September 30th.
Yes.
So come. Even if you're not in Austin, just come. It'll be 3 p.m. It's going to be posted on Instagram a lot. So just stay tuned for our Instagram pages all the time, because we'll sprinkle it in. September 30th, Austin, Texas, posing Trail of Champions seminar.
Yeah.
Ask us questions, DM us if you have questions.
If you're interested, yeah, DM us. And it's going to be more than just bikini and
all
wellness.
Men. It's literally
it's all
division.
the men's divisions, all the women's divisions. So we have that coming up. And otherwise, if you're interested in a prep and you have specific questions, hit us up.
Hit us in the DM, email us, anything. You can literally rant to us about all the questions. Send us a little share notes tab. Got 15 on there. We'll answer all 15.
I would love that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Send us a video, a Loom video. And we'll send you one back. Yeah.
We appreciate you, though. Thank you for always listening and supporting. And anything you want us to hear, educate you on, please let us know.
We have some exciting new things coming for y'all. So stay tuned, keep watching, subscribe, like, all the good things, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Becoming Relentless. We hope that you leave this podcast feeling really relentless. That's what our goal is here. Please leave us a 5-star review. If you want to reach us, you can reach us through DM. My Instagram is Danielle Kusenberger. Noa, where can they find you?
My Instagram is Noa McCabe _IFBB Pro. And our Becoming Relentless podcast Instagram will also be linked in the bio. Make sure that y'all keep coming back every week. Like, share, subscribe. We love being tagged in your stories. And as always, leave us a comment, any questions, and we'll catch you on the next one.